June 27th, 1976. Imagine a beautiful day, sun shining on the Mediterranean Sea. Air France Flight 139, cruising from Tel Aviv to Paris. Passengers relaxed, dreaming of baguettes and the Eiffel Tower. Suddenly, paradise shattered. Terrorists, armed and ruthless, stormed the plane. They hijacked the flight, forcing it off course, their destination unknown, their intentions unclear. Fear gripped the passengers, their hearts pounding in their chests. The hijackers, cold and calculating, herded them like cattle. The plane became a steel cage, soaring through the skies, its human cargo trapped in a nightmare. The world watched in horror, glued to their radios and televisions as the drama unfolded. The hijackers, affiliated with the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, made their demands clear. The release of Palestinian and pro-Palestinian militants held in Israel and other countries. They threatened to execute the hostages if their demands weren't met. Time was running out. Each passing hour increased the tension, the fear, the desperation. The world held its breath, praying for a miracle. The stage was set for one of the most daring rescue missions in history. News of the hijacking sent shockwaves through Israel. A nation still scarred by the memories of the Holocaust refused to be held hostage again. Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin faced an agonizing dilemma. Negotiate with terrorists and risk emboldening them, or launch a risky rescue mission thousands of miles away. Rabin, a military man himself, understood the stakes. Failure was not an option. The lives of over 100 innocent people hung in the balance. He assembled his top advisors, military strategists, and intelligence experts. The pressure was immense, the clock ticking relentlessly. Days turned into nights as the Israeli government grappled with the crisis. Every option seemed fraught with danger. Negotiations with the hijackers seemed to be going nowhere. Time was of the essence, and the only viable option left was a risky, unprecedented military operation. A decision was made. Israel would not yield to terror. They would bring their people home. Operation Thunderbolt, a daring rescue mission, was born. The world watched, holding its breath, as Israel prepared to defy the odds. Deep in the Negev desert, a top-secret Israeli airbase buzzed with activity. Soldiers, faces grim, prepared for the unknown. Elite commandos, the Sayeret Matkal, trained feverishly. Every second counted, every movement honed to perfection. They were Israel's best, entrusted with a nation's hopes and prayers. The mission was fraught with danger. Entebbe Airport, over 2,500 miles away in Uganda, was a hostile environment. Intelligence was scarce, the terrain unfamiliar. Time was their enemy. Every passing moment increased the risk to the hostages. The commandos, led by the fearless Lieutenant Colonel Yonatan Netanyahu, trained with unwavering focus. They studied maps, analyzed intelligence reports, and rehearsed every possible scenario. The weight of the mission, the lives at stake, fueled their determination. They were ready to face the unknown, to confront evil, to bring their people home. The fate of Flight 139, the hopes of a nation, rested on their shoulders. Planning for Operation Thunderbolt was a logistical and tactical nightmare. Entebbe Airport was a fortress, guarded by Ugandan soldiers loyal to the dictator Idi Amin, who had offered refuge to the hijackers. The element of surprise was crucial. The commandos would have to slip through Ugandan defenses, neutralize the terrorists, and evacuate the hostages, all under the cover of darkness. The Israeli Air Force faced an equally daunting task. 4 C-130 Hercules transport planes would have to fly undetected for thousands of miles over hostile territory. They would carry the commandos, vehicles, and even a replica of Amin's Mercedes-Benz, a clever decoy to confuse the Ugandan guards upon landing. The success of the mission hinged on meticulous planning, precise execution, and a fair amount of luck. The Israelis knew they had one chance to get it right. Failure was not an option. Section 5. Ghosts of Entebbe. As the C-130 Hercules transport planes roared into the African night, a heavy silence descended upon them. Each commando carried the weight of the mission, the lives of the hostages etched into their hearts. Amongst them was Yonatan Netanyahu, a man haunted by the ghosts of his past. Yonatan, the elder brother of future Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, carried the legacy of their father, Ben-Zion, a renowned historian of Jewish resistance. He had tasted combat before, leading daring raids and earning a reputation for bravery and tactical brilliance. But Entebbe was different. The spectre of the Holocaust, the memory of Jewish vulnerability, loomed large. Yonatan was determined to ensure that such horrors would never befall his people again. He would lead his men into the heart of darkness, a modern-day Maccabee fighting for the freedom of his people. The mission was personal for every commando, but for Yonatan it was a matter of family, of history, of fulfilling a solemn vow to never let evil triumph. He was prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice to bring his people home. Section 6. Wheels up, hearts heavy. The flight to Entebbe was a tense journey into the unknown. The commandos, crammed into the bellies of the Hercules aircraft, checked and rechecked their weapons. They whispered prayers, shared stories of loved ones, and steeled themselves for the battle ahead. Hours turned into an eternity as they flew low over the African savannah, their every thought focused on the hostages. They knew the risks, the possibility of walking into a death trap. Yet fear was a luxury they couldn't afford. They had a duty to their country, to the innocent lives hanging in the balance. As they neared Entebbe, adrenaline surged through their veins. The commandos donned their combat gear, their faces grim, their resolve unwavering. The fate of Flight 139, the honor of a nation, rested on their shoulders. The Hercules aircraft descended into the darkness, their cargo of courage and determination about to meet their destiny. The die was cast. Operation Thunderbolt was in motion. Section 7. Touchdown in the dead of night. Under the cover of darkness, the Israeli C-130 Hercules transport planes approached Entebbe airport. The first plane, carrying the commando assault team, touched down softly on the runway. The element of surprise was crucial. They had minutes, or perhaps seconds, to seize control before the alarm was raised. The commandos, adrenaline pumping, stormed out of the plane. Their training took over as they moved with swift precision. A black Mercedes, identical to IDI Armene's, led the way, a clever ruse to buy precious seconds. The second and third planes followed in quick succession, disgorging more commandos, vehicles, and equipment. The fourth plane, carrying medical personnel and backup troops, circled overhead, ready to provide support. The clock was ticking. Every second counted. The commandos fanned out across the tarmac, their movements silent and deadly, their eyes scanning for any sign of danger. Section 8. Storming the terminal. The commandos, led by Yonatan Netanyahu, stormed towards the old terminal where the hostages were being held. They moved like phantoms in the night, their weapons trained, their senses on high alert. The element of surprise was their greatest weapon. Bursting into the terminal, the commandos shouted in Hebrew, lie down, we are Israeli soldiers." The hostages, confused and terrified, hesitated for a moment, unsure who to trust. The hijackers, caught off guard, opened fire. A fierce firefight erupted, the air thick with the sound of gunfire and shattering glass. The commandos, disciplined and highly trained, returned fire with deadly accuracy. They moved through the terminal room by room, engaging the terrorists in a desperate battle. Section 9. Freedom's price. The battle inside the terminal was brutal and swift. The commandos fought with unwavering courage, their training and determination overcoming the odds. They neutralized the terrorists one by one, their every move calculated to minimize risk to the hostages. But victory came at a price. In the hail of gunfire, Yonatan Netanyahu, the fearless leader of the operation, was fatally wounded. He fell, his lifeblood staining the tarmac, a tragic loss that would forever be etched in the annals of Israeli history. Despite their grief, the commandos pressed on, their resolve strengthened by the sacrifice of their leader. They secured the terminal, ushered the hostages to safety, and prepared for a hasty retreat. The sound of gunfire faded into the night, replaced by the sobs of relief from the freed hostages and the solemn whispers of mourning for a fallen hero. Operation Thunderbolt was a success, but it had come at a terrible cost. Section 10. Aftermath and echoes. As dawn broke over Entebbe, the world awoke to the astonishing news. The impossible had happened. Israeli commandos, in a feat of daring and precision, had rescued the hostages from the clutches of terror. The raid, hailed as a masterpiece of military planning and execution, sent shockwaves across the globe. The hostages, physically and emotionally drained, returned to Israel to a hero's welcome. They had survived a nightmare, their ordeal a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. But the scars of captivity, the memories of fear and uncertainty would linger. The raid had profound geopolitical consequences. It dealt a severe blow to international terrorism, demonstrating that Israel would not hesitate to act decisively to protect its citizens, no matter how far or how dangerous the mission. Section 11. A legacy of courage. The raid on Entebbe became an iconic event in Israeli history, a symbol of courage, ingenuity, and unwavering resolve. It showed the world that terrorism would not be tolerated, that even in the darkest of hours, hope could triumph over fear. The memory of the fallen commandos, especially Yonatan Netanyahu, was enshrined in the hearts of the Israeli people. They became national heroes, their sacrifice a reminder of the human cost of freedom. The raid also served as a stark reminder of the complexities of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, highlighting the need for dialogue and understanding while underscoring the devastating consequences of hate and violence. The legacy of Entebbe continues to resonate today, inspiring future generations to stand up to oppression, to fight for justice, and to never give up hope, no matter how dire the circumstances. The 90-minute miracle at Entebbe remains a testament to the indomitable spirit of those who dare to resist tyranny and defend the innocent.